It's Monks Ahoy! As the Doctor, Bill, and Nardole travel to the Vatican's secret library to unlock the mystery of the Veritas. Maybe it's all white smoke and mirrors as our merry band of heroes ask all the right questions. But will they like the answers? Can they handle the truth? Find out in this week's very popular episode. Alright, sorry. Of Voices from the Vortex.
Broadcast amplitude at maximum capacity. Transmitting through time and space in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Vortex.
Voices from the Vortex reviews Doctor Who Series 10, Episode 6, Extremis. Slam.
Exactly. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is Taylor.
And this is... Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta check my fatality rating. Hold on. I'm in the index. And... exactly what I thought. 0. Hi, guys. This is Matt.
And we're back yet again for an Extremis interview.
I like how positive that was. Yet again, not like again. Here they go again.
Well, this isn't Series 9. Okay, this is this is.
We're having
Series
so
10.
much more fun talking about Doctor Who today.
Yes, this season we've had a lot of fun talking about it, and this, we've had this pattern going of really good, and then just okay, and then really good, and then just okay, and then really good. And was this episode, was it really good, or was it just okay? What do you think?
Oh, it was really good.
Yeah, it was so good.
This is Stephen Moffat coming in and being like, "Let me show you how it's done, guys." Slam.
He slams the Veritas down. Boom.
let me handicap myself. Tickety tickety tap. He's blind, and go. He's just at this point in time. He's just taking victory laps around everybody else writing episodes. That's all he's doing.
I know, that's right. He was saving his good stuff for the end. I mean,
what do you mean saving? His first episode is fantastic.
You're right. That's true. So we're gonna look at the plot and the monsters for this episode. The monster, I didn't hear one, but they didn't really have a name in the episode. I saw online they call them the monks, but other than that, I didn't really hear if they had a name.
You're right. I didn't catch a name. I kept calling them the Creepers of the Under Vatican. But that was me.
Oh, there you go.
That was just my little pet name for them.
Well, the monsters in this episode, it wasn't really about them. They were there to sort of hint. We find out this is a part 1 of a part 2, So it's less about them.
Curse you, Moffat! You found a way to put a 2-parter in here.
It's less about them and it's more about the Veritas. So we'll probably get more on them in the next episode for sure.
We'll get to that, but they're the villains of the next episode. They're invading.
Yes.
That's their invasion. So
yes,
right.
But the plot of this was just cool. Okay, this episode was, if I had one word for it, this was a really, really cool episode.
Yeah. What? I mean, it's not like we've never seen an episode like this before on other shows. They've done episodes where, it's all a dream, or
Yes.
It's a computer simulation, and they even make fun of that in Family Guy. They make fun of those kinds of shows with an episode that's like that. But I like how they did this, right? Because they started it off with the Doctor putting on his glasses and he's getting an email, and then we find out by the end that was the whole point, was this whole thing happened, and then the Doctor of the computer emailed the real doctor.
It was all an email.
It was all an email.
Yeah. So yeah, it was all a dream, but not really, because it it was all a dream that had some real world consequences, basically.
Right.
You know, you can't say, well, none of that mattered because it was all a dream. But, well, no, it does matter because the doctor saw it all. Now he knows what's coming, and it's setting us up for this epic finale, hopefully.
And there's some interesting pieces of information that were dropped in this episode that make you wonder if that's stuff that's coming up for the doctor. And I'm specifically referring to the device that the doctor uses in the computer.
Yes,
right, to take from his future.
Yeah, I had a lot of questions about that because he says, yeah, it gives me like 20 minutes of eyesight or something, but, you know, I don't know what else it's going to do. It took something from me, is what he said, from the future. So either something's... I would assume, you know, because we know his regeneration is going to be complicated, is this going to, you know, be part of complicating his regeneration? But then at the end of the episode, I thought, oh, wait a minute. Because this was the simulation, did he really do that to himself? Does this even count at all?
No, so that's the thing, is that none of the actions they did in that episode actually matter to the real characters. Right? That's not the doctor. That is a simulation. Yeah. But it's everything that the doctor is and has. So when he pulls that out, that's something that the doctor has. Whether or not he's ever used it, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you know, he might use that again in this next episode. Because, you know, he's going to need to see to deal with whatever this is. So, yeah, it was a really interesting idea that these monsters, these aliens that are coming to invade the planet, they set up this computer simulation. And they've run this simulation over and over and over. They've done it a bunch of times. They said, you know, to the doctor, we've killed you many times. You know, we've beaten you. And so they've run the simulation a lot to see, you know, what they need to know before they invade. And it's not just a simulation of, like, the present day. They've done this simulation of all of human history. This Veritas is somebody figured out they're in a simulation. And this thing's been passed down, you know, generations and generations through the Vatican and everything. And whoever reads this, they find out, oh, I'm in a simulation. So then they decide, I'm going to kill myself. And then there was another really cool thing, which was the shadow test. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
So the idea was...
that's my opinion on that is, yeah.
Well, the idea was that because it's not just a dream, and, you know, it's literally a computer simulation. So you're in a computer, basically, and the doctor's explanation is, okay, well, the computer can't generate just a random string of numbers. It's always going to be the same. So all the people, when they were you know, he was hitting the table and they would keep saying the numbers over and over and over. That was the first really freaky moment in this episode. Like, what is going on? You know, when they were all saying the same numbers over and over. So I loved this episode and this plot. I thought it was just a really cool idea and very well executed. You know, I don't know, just the way the whole episode unraveled was perfect. I thought it was great.
So, you're right. And there's a couple of things there that's really interesting that even you mentioned. So the first thing is about the shadow test and about the numbers. If you remember last Christmas, the special last Christmas, the Christmas special, that was how the doctor was able to prove to the four people in the last Christmas episode that they were inside, they were in a dream. Because in dreams, it didn't matter if they kept turning the pages and pick any word, and it'll always be the same word, or it spells out something, or, you know. So this is kind of that. This coming back from that. This is, again, if you're in a fictional world of some sort and you're aware that you're in a fictional world, you'll begin to see the inconsistencies. And the biggest inconsistency is that the brain or a computer cannot create
in the Matrix.
True. It is. You can't create true randomness. That there is something in there. The other thing you said, which was actually really interesting, had to do with you know. You're right that they've been running the simulation over and over again. What gets to me is, has it just been with this doctor, Or have they been running the simulation long enough to say, okay, well, this other version of the Doctor, this other version of the Doctor, and every time he, 11 beats us and 10 beats us, but maybe 12 won't. Because they said they've killed him. But it's interesting, we didn't get a glimpse of what their plan is at all.
Right. Well, that's a good point, because if they've run the simulation once and they beat everybody, what's the, assuming that the Doctor is the last stand, which he usually is in this case, what's the point of running the simulation again? So it'd be interesting to see, did all those other simulations, you're right, did they end with them, losing, but they beat the Doctor, but they lose, or it ends right on an earlier regeneration. It
doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't really matter how many Doctors, or if it was, it could all have been Capaldi. But the point of it is we never saw what the and we never saw what their plan was. So we don't know. First, I'm assuming that's what the next episode is all about. That's their invasion. But what did the Doctor really get other than knowledge that it's going to happen? That there is an invasion, and that's the most dangerous thing. Once he knows, he kicks it up a notch. He steps it, gets into gear. So I don't know. I'm really excited. I'm really interested in seeing how this plays out, and also how this feeds into the rest of the season. We know for a fact Mondas is coming, right? In the finale, we know that the Mondasian Cybermen. So Mondas is coming. How does this feed into that? How does this all become? I'm just, it's really exciting. It's just neat. It's just neat. I love trying to figure out Moffat's plot before we get to the end.
Well, it's interesting you talk about Mondas, because Mondas is a parallel Earth. That's what it was described as. And it's all these simulations, they were parallel Earths. They were, shadow Earths. So that's a really interesting, and maybe it's just foreshadowing on Moffat's part, to sort of talk about shadow Earths and a parallel world, and then to have the Mondasian Cybermen come in at the end. So yeah, sneaky Steven. We'll see where he goes with this.
Well, and this episode also talks about a real scientific principle, which is the hologram theory. And anyone who watches or reads anything about Elon Musk knows this is him. He loves this theory, and the idea that the universe as we know it is not real, that we are holograms or projections of ourselves from the future or of some version of reality, and that we are just playing out the steps of the story. And I like this show has been so topical this year, and it's so poignant because it's political. It's talked about racism, about civil rights, about gay rights, about it's talked about anti-capitalism, what essentially we can say is anti-Brexit and anti-Trump. It's talking about sort of that liberal side of things, and that progressive side, and this talking about the hologram theory and what is real and what isn't is fringe science at its best. And it's so topical and not political in this episode as much, but it kind of is, the idea that everything is fake, everything isn't real. And it's just so neat to see this season develop that way, because it's going down different paths and different roads that are right there on the top of our minds as an audience. And I love when it connects with us like that, because very rarely do shows connect with you like that.
Definitely. So we one part of this episode that was interesting was the Hereticum, where they go at the very beginning, the Under-Vatican, as you called it. And we get to see, this is from the Time for Heroes trailer.
Yeah,
that we saw right at the very beginning. So that was pretty neat to actually get to see that wasn't just a random, location for a trailer. It actually had to do with this episode, with this.
Which is why for this, if you guys are noticing, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on iTunes, that's great. But you're totally missing out of the fact that on YouTube we have a title card. Maybe you've seen it on Facebook, you iTunes listeners. But it's we used the picture from the Time of Heroes trailer because A, there were no really great screenshots from this episode for us to put our faces on, but also B, because it's connecting that time. This is clearly Moffat stepping in and writing this particular episode and considering what we learn about the overall season arc that we'll get into here in a few minutes. And considering all the things that happen in this episode, this is tied with everything that's happening. And that Time for Heroes trailer ties into this as well. So I'm looking at this thinking, man, these two things are connected, and hence why we're using that. So if those of you who are watching on YouTube and can just look at your screen and see that, you're welcome. Those of you on iTunes, go to YouTube or go to Facebook and look at it. We'll wait. We'll give it a minute, and we'll just sit here and talk about other things. Seen it?
All right.
You looked okay. Good. Yes. All right.
Right?
Excellent. Moving on.
All right, moving on. So, all right. So let's move on to the season arc because, they usually save it for the end, but this episode there were two stories going at the same time. So you had this story that we just talked about, and then also the return of Missy. Da, da, da.
The return of Missy.
And the answer to what's in the vault is answered 6 episodes in, which is kind of fun. It's we have this overarching thing, and the big mystery is what's in the vault. Where if you look back at Series 8, it was who's Missy, who's this mysterious woman, and what's the Promised Land, and that was the question that was shown in the very first episode, and they didn't really answer the question until the very end. This one, it's a lot different. They've given us a mystery at the very beginning. There's a vault, he's guarding it, what's in it? And then you say, oh, who's in it? And then, oh, he's allowed to go in. And then you get to find out who's in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is better writing. This is Moffat really bringing his A game. Because when we go all the way back to Russell T Davies, remember, Bad Wolf was revealed at the end, but it was in every episode. Torchwood was revealed at the end, but it was in every episode. When Moffat took over and he started writing, the stuff with the cracks were it was thrown at you. And it was like, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, here's the crack, 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 crack. And then you get to the end and it's like, oh, that's the surprise. Season 6, it was, that he really telegraphed it. The first half with is she, isn't she pregnant? And the second half with he's gonna die on this date in this place. Series 7, the thing with the impossible girl. Yeah, and the end of every episode, he was like, okay, now what's wrong with you? Who is Clara?
Yeah. Let me look at the TARDIS screen yet again.
Exactly. And I
can't figure it out.
Right. And I love seasonal arcs like this. I love when they're pulling you along. But let me tell you something. That gets boring. When we got to this season, and the question isn't who's in the vault. That's not the seasonal story arc.
No.
There's a bigger seasonal story arc going on here that no one else notices, and I'll get into it in a minute. But the arc is it's not one thing. It's the Doctor is guarding a vault, but he's also made an oath. He is no longer the Doctor. He's not being the Doctor. He has decided to change who he is, and as we go through this, we're not just unraveling why, we're beginning to see him unravel himself and say, I can't be normal. I can't keep doing this no matter how long it's been. So the seasonal story arc, we can't even define until we get to the end. But it won't be like the other stuff where it's like, who's in the vault, who's in the vault, who's in the vault? Oh, it's Missy. The end. We are unraveling this piece by piece. And I think that works so much better because it makes the whole season feel connected.
Yeah, I love that. I think instead of there's a seasonal arc where they keep teasing what it's going to be by the end, it's an actual story that's going alongside the whole the other individual episodes, which I love. That. Yeah. So here's all my questions I have. Okay, so first of all, I loved the beginning twist where the Doctor gets to this place and the guy's like telling about, this thing, it'll kill a Time Lord, and then he's like, and you got to be executed by another Time Lord, and then Missy comes out, and then he's like, the prisoner shall kneel, and then Missy gets down, and I was like, oh, you got me, you tricked me, yeah,
trickster,
Moffat, yeah, he got me. So my questions. So first of all, and this we'll probably get to this in the seasonal story arc. But first of all, what has Missy done that she is, sentenced to death by these people? I don't remember exactly who they were, but something about they're the executioners for the universe or something. So what has she done that she deserves this? Why has the Doctor decided that? Why has he agreed to this? That he's going to kill her, and then watch her, and then we see at the end he decides not to actually kill her, but to just kind of put her in a sleep for a little bit, and then he's going to watch her in the vault. And what's the plan here? If he's going to watch her, but I mean she knows what's going on. What are they planning? Are they planning something together? What's going on there? And then my other question, why would he was always worried about people trying to get to the vault. At the very first episode when they were worried about the puddle, and they go check on the vault. Oh, no one's been tampering with it. Okay, good. Is somebody after Missy? So are they going to, is he trying to protect Missy, or is he worried that someone's going to let her out, or what? So a lot of questions came from this episode.
Those are great questions, and I feel like those are the things that will be answered over the next, however many episodes, obviously. But I'm excited because that's a very good point. We didn't have any of those questions until this episode, but they relate to all the questions we've had up until now.
Exactly.
They've been giving us just enough information each episode, not only to tease us, but now that we have these questions, we're starting to look at it more in depth based on what we've already seen.
So, we may lose the vault altogether in the next episode because he's kind of talking to Missy and says, look, maybe I need your help, so he might let her out and she might be part of the next episode, and the whole vault thing might just go away, but then still there's the question, what did she do? Why did he spare her? Is it just because they're friends? Or does he have another plan? And then so what's and then where does John Sim factor into all of this?
Right.
Who knows?
Who knows? Well, guys, I'm going to talk about this now. So this is going to take a minute. So if you go get yourself a snack, get something to drink, go potty.
That's crazy theories.
So I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. I don't think... Okay, I'm going to say something, then I'm going to contradict myself, then I'm going to explain it. I don't think the stuff with Missy in this episode happened before the season. But wait, Matt, you say, didn't it start with a long time ago, ... Yes, but a long time ago is relative, ladies and gentlemen, when you're talking about time travelers who are relatively immortal. A long time ago could be referring to our perception of when we are in the story, but it doesn't mean that for the Doctor it happened a long time ago. Here's my evidence that this is happening out of order. Let me tell you what I think's happening. I think the Doctor, nearing the end of his life, getting ready for regeneration, has to take Missy she has to be executed for some reason. I don't know what yet. And he chooses not to. He chooses to put her in a vault and watch her for 1,000 years. But he knows he's close to regeneration. He knows his life is ending. He can't watch her for 1,000 years. So he goes back in time and takes her to his younger self and says, you have to make me an oath. You have to swear to yourself that you will watch her for 1,000 years. Remember, Nardole says to the Doctor about the oath, you made an oath, and you made me promise. And the Doctor said, yeah, well, who was that to? And he says, you, sir, to you. He doesn't he might be referring to the Capaldi standing in front of him, or he might be referring to a future Capaldi. Why do I think it's a future Capaldi?
So you're saying that the future Capaldi has already watched Missy in a vault for 1,000 years?
No.
And he knows that he should take it back to his younger self.
No, I'm saying that in the final episode of this season, when he's getting ready to regenerate, or the Christmas special, or whatever he's getting ready to regenerate, Missy has to be executed, and he doesn't want her to die. So he takes her all the way back to the beginning of season 10, or before, and drops her off with himself and says, no, now you actually need to watch her for 1,000 years, and when you finally get to be me, we'll take care of it then. And then he goes back to his adventure to do whatever he's doing. Here's why I say that. Look at his coat. The coat he's wearing in the stuff with Missy in this episode, okay? First off, it is his coat. Looking at the back of his coat, looking at the buttons, looking at the lapels, and identifying it with his coat that you've seen so far this season, this is the coat he wears. But it is old. It is frayed. It is falling apart. Time has weathered this coat. If this happened before season 10, and why did he change to a newer coat? Right? Why did he get into newer clothes? Well, that's not unusual, you say, Matt. Why? Of course, his coat is old and frayed. Why wouldn't he just wear a new one? Because, ladies and gentlemen, BBC gave us a trailer. And in that trailer, we got a glimpse of Capaldi regenerating. And I'm not talking about the first trailer where we see his hand. I'm talking about the one where we see him full body, arms thrown back regeneration. Look at the coat he's wearing in that tiny little clip. It is frayed. It is old. It is the coat he's wearing when he's with Missy in this episode. If that's his regeneration, if that's what takes place at the end of this season, that means that that stuff that's happening with Missy is happening after season 10. He has brought her back to a younger version of himself to watch her. Now, he probably went through all of that, right? To get to that ancient age. He's now 1,000 years older. So maybe he's 3,000 when he regenerates. But I think because Moffat can't write a single season straightforward, he has yet to do it for one season. All of Matt Smith is done backwards, and each season is done backwards.
Right.
I think that's what season 10 is. I think he's writing it from the end back. That everything we're seeing with the Vault and a younger Capaldi is happening, even though the older Capaldi is the one who starts it all. And to further emphasize how you think you know what's going on, but you don't, the conversation he has with Missy at the beginning of this episode, she says, I heard you retired, and we're living on Beryllium. We all remember that from a couple Christmas episodes ago, so clearly that would mean younger Capaldi. But then she says, what happens? And he looks at her, and she goes, right, I'm sorry. Is she talking about because eventually River Song goes off to die? Or is she talking about the fact that he goes through a whole season with Bill and something happens to Bill?
Okay. I see.
There's my theory. I think we're looking at two different Capaldis at two different eras, and it's not past Capaldi with Missy and current Capaldi. I think it's future Capaldi with Missy. All right. There's my theory.
Okay. No, I see what you're going from. I don't know if I necessarily agree with you. I think that would be cool if that was the truth. I guess the only reason I don't think so is they threw a lot of red herrings at us. They made us believe that this, like, if you're right, then they threw a lot of hints at us. You're right. She says, I thought you retired on Berylliums. And then Nardole shows up, and he says, how'd you get here? And he says, I followed you from Beryllium. So They make us believe that this happened right after he left River Song on Beryllium.
Yeah.
So that's my only reason why I don't think that's necessarily true. Now I could be totally wrong, because you bring up some very good points. But yeah, I just think they tried really hard to clue us in that this was after River Song. Mm-hmm. When Nardole comes, he got the journal. He says, River sent me. And she told me I get to kick your ass. So, well, yeah. That's an interesting theory. Be interested to see where it actually goes.
Yes. And again, he's a time traveler. A night on Beryllium is 24 years.
Right.
Why does he settles down with her? Doesn't mean he doesn't go off and do other adventures in the middle of the night and comes back the next morning. Mm-hmm. Just say.
just throwing that out there.
All right.
Well, that's good. I like that. Let's talk about the characters just a little bit. real quick, and then we'll move on. So the only person who, I mean, the Doctor had some character development, and we've talked about the Doctor enough, but Nardole was really the only one who had character development in this. And it was mostly in the river in the Missy storyline when he came, and a little bit of his personality. But it's kind of funny because any character development for Bill in this episode is just totally wiped clean in the end, because she hadn't even gone on her date at the end. You know, she didn't know anything about this simulation and all that. So but Nardole, a bit of a badass. Apparently.
Is he though? Is he?
I don't think so.
He says he is, but then he immediately squealed when he saw Bobby. He's like,
that was one of my favorite quotes. When he says, "Ain't nothing secret about it, baby doll." Just reminded me of, "Shut up, baby, I know it." That was totally a Bender, you know. And he might be a robot, so who knows?
Nice. So, but there was I would go as far as to say there was absolutely no character development for anyone in this entire episode.
Right.
Anyone who underwent any character development in this episode didn't exist in the first place and ceased existing at the end anyway.
Yeah.
The only people.
The Doctor, maybe, because he might have watched, he watched the video, so he knew. But, they'll have to go through it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, Doctor.
So what did you... Oh, Doctor Who. What did you think of the production of this episode?
Oh, this was great. You know what? Let me say something. I've recently been going back and watching old Who with a friend of mine who's watching it for the first time. So I'm very excited about that. And I get to watch, the fun episodes. And we're just now halfway through season 7. So we're into the Clara stuff of season 7. And he remarks to me the other night when we were watching this, he says, it's so amazing. Every episode of season 7, it's like a mini movie. And I mean, the budget, and like, it just looks so good. And we start talking about the differences of seasons 1 and 2 and 3, and then how season 4 was a huge step up, and then 5 was a huge step up, and 6 was a big step, and 7's even. And I said, you don't even know. Because once you get to Capaldi, it's like the budget's unlimited. It's like, it's out of this world. It's amazing. So here's my problem with that. This episode looks fantastic. The Under Vatican is absolutely one of the best sets ever designed. It looks gorgeous. Can someone explain to me where the extra $50,000 was that they could have spent making the space slice look a little more realistic in Knock Knock? Because this is a phenomenal looking episode. You could have spent. You couldn't have given just a little bit more money to a guy to do a little bit more rendering on those. I'm just saying, this entire season has been out of this world good. But some of the effects early on, it's like, why were you cutting the corner here? Is it really because did you really not have the money, or were you just like, let's save a little bit and see what happens in episode 9? Like, I don't know what.
They didn't spend the money on the set in Knock Knock. It was just a house that they built probably on a lot,
Right. Right.
Put that money in those bugs. Why the bugs?
Why the bugs? and the nanobots from Smile.
Yes.
Even the puddle was a little cheesy. It's like, okay.
They gotta work on the CGI just a little bit.
I guess they wanted to spend it all on the Pope. I get it. But still.
I mean, that was the real Pope, right?
That was Pope Benedict. It
had to be.
What's his face?
Francis. Yeah.
Francis. That was Pope Francis. He did that instead of meeting with Trump. So
yeah, that's right. It was a look-alike for Trump. That was
not Francis.
It was the real Pope for this. It's funny. Doctor Who's such a worldwide phenomenon. I wouldn't be surprised if the real Pope someday actually did guest star on Doctor Who.
Only if the line he repeats, if the thing, like the Doctor says something and his response is, "Come on, I'm a freaking Pope." Like, come on, he could do it. He would love it.
Or he says like, "Poping ain't easy."
But this is, buddy. This is why the British don't hire Americans to write Doctor Who.
Exactly. Well, speaking of the Pope,
the Pope away.
What do I Pope it away?
And then he grabs his cape and he like pulls it over his face and he like throws one arm out and just like crunches over as he walks away. Sorry, continue.
Well, one of my favorite moments, we'll move on to favorite moments and quotes. One of my favorite moments of this episode is just the Pope interrupting the date. I thought that was brilliant. And,
it was so funny.
And Penny's reaction where she's just like, that was the Pope. Bill, that was the Pope. It was so good.
Well, the whole idea, especially because he's speaking Italian, and that killed me.
Yes.
I was just like, that's beautiful. Of course he would, and of course Penny and Bill are gonna say like, what the heck's going on? I think my favorite moment of the whole episode was when the Doctor's challenging these I don't know what the executioners, we'll call them, and they're looking at how many entries he has in fatality, and he says, but you're unarmed, and he goes, always. And they said, but you're alone, and he says, usually. And the guy just says, all right, have a good day, sir. And he like turns and leaves. Like, it's just, there's no more argument. They're done. They're going away. They're leaving.
Let's get out of here.
They were Scooby-Doo cast members at that point in time.
That's right. I think my favorite line in this was when Nardole is confronting him about his eyesight, and keeping it a secret from Bill. And then he goes, you're an idiot. And then Capaldi just responds with, everybody knows that.
Well, they told us at the end of season 8. I'm not a soldier, and I'm not a general, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not a good man and a bad man. I'm an idiot. And even Missy gives him this look like, oh, just knock that off. Come on. Just passing through.
That's right.
No, it was a good. It had a lot of good moments and a lot of good quotes. And I'll tell you one more. I'll throw out there. I loved the little effect they did when he put the glasses on, and like it goes to the theme song, but it matrix out a little bit, and like that's, That's how we should have known that this wasn't really an episode. This wasn't really happening.
Great. I always love when they turn the theme song on its head a little bit, and they do a little something. Like if it's a Christmas one, they got the Christmas one that was really good, where it was snowing, and then instead of planets, it was
Christmas ornaments.
Christmas ornaments. That was brilliant. I loved that. I wish they would do more stuff like that.
They did that. They did the one with the rock anthem. He's playing the guitar.
Oh yeah. That was perfect.
And that was Capaldi playing the guitar. It was amazing.
That was great.
Or the one where you had Clara's face right after she said, "I'm the doctor," and it goes in the finale for season 8, and then it goes and it was her face and not the doctor's that comes at you.
Yes.
I love it.
They need to do more of that. There hasn't really been anything like that this season, so they need to do a little more of that kind of stuff.
Yes, I agree.
So,
all right,
what are your final thoughts on this episode?
What are my final thoughts? I'll tell you what. This was a very Moffat style episode, and seriously, it was a truly great one. Besides being a good episode, besides having a compelling plot which pulls you in, this is Moffat saying how he's taking victory laps. How can I write something? How can I prove I'm even more clever than I am? And he does. He sets it up and he knocks it out of the park. Should he be blind? Yeah, he's blind. Let's make him blind this episode. Nothing can stop me now. And I love that about Moffat. The seasonal story arc, this season's story arc, is finally underway. We're really getting to the heart of what it is. So hold on to your hats, kids, because this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, I agree. This was a very, very cool episode. One of Moffat's, best ideas, best stories he's ever written. I loved all the twists, and this is a really great first part. It turns out this is a first part. There's 2 parts. A really great first part to what seems like this will be a really epic story. Hopefully, part 2 doesn't let us down, but this is a different kind of 2-parter. It's not, just the it's like Heaven Sent and Hell Bent. Those were two different stories, but they were connected. So it's the same. This is kind of the same deal. First, they're in the simulation, and the next story is the actual invasion. So it'll be really interesting to see where this story goes from here, and how it's going to relate to this last episode. And so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Just a reminder that the next episode of Doctor Who is co-written by Stephen Moffat, but it's also written by Peter Harness, who is he wrote Kill the Moon, which I maintain is a great episode, and then he also co-wrote Zygon Invasion and the Zygon Inversion. So.
And those were amazing. So
they really were. So this second part is written by two truly gifted Doctor Who writers.
Calculating. Voices from the Vortex gives Extremis 10 out of 10.
Well, I guess we should take a look at
Oh my god, that promo. Meh. That promo.
The promo.
Guys.
I mean, I don't even remember anything about this promo, to be honest. I really don't.
So, we normally watch the episodes twice. We watch it once for enjoyment, then we watch it again before we review to remember things and to write stuff down. Guys, I didn't even watch the promo the second time. I didn't care. And let me tell you something else. There are seasons where the promos are on point. There are seasons where the promos are the best part of Doctor Who. There are seasons of Doctor Who where the trailers themselves are masterpieces. Mm-hmm. The heck happened to those seasons? Because now we're in a season that's truly good, but the promos have just been horrible. They are forgettable. They are uninteresting. Everything I saw in this promo, I already knew was coming because of the trailer.
Yeah.
And I've read the synopsis. I've read the title of the episode and the little teaser that Moffat gave us. So I got nothing new. And what I'm asking for is a promo that gives us tingles, that makes us go, oh, I can't wait for Saturday. I mean, I can't.
I want the hibbly jibblies.
The hibbly jibblies. The wibbly wobbly hibbly jibblies. And I'm not getting
No,
I'm getting
totally agree.
I'm getting the Mondays from these promos.
You're right. I mean, there's nothing in this trailer that we didn't already know. I mean, and it's just like, I want a trailer that makes me go, what? At the end.
Exactly.
Like, there needs to be something in the trailer, like the trailers for this season, have been really great. They end with a shot of his hand with regeneration energy on it. And you're like, what? That is a good trailer. That it needs to tease you with something that may be happening in the episode. Maybe not how you think it's going to happen, but
right.
And it's probably not even going to happen that way when you actually watch the episode. But you need something to you're right, give you the heebie-jeebies, the hibbly-jibblies. We need those tingles, and they're not there.
You know what it feels like too, because just go back to last season, and the trailers were like that. The trailers were really good, but they still again weren't up to snuff. I think the promos. I'm sorry for the next episode.
Right.
Still not exactly up to snuff to where they were season 8 and back. But it feels like they have a new crew of people doing these trailers. Mm-hmm. Like they had, like, I don't know if they hired a new production crew to do it, or just the people who were doing it have left and new people have moved in. It feels like it's new people because they don't feel like the kind of Doctor Who previews we're used to. And if anyone wants to look back and say, what are Matt and Taylor talking about? When do they have really good next time trailers? Go back and rewatch. Yeah, season 7, season 6. The latter half of season 5, season 4. Come on, guys. These were amazing trailers, and they blew you away. And people don't remember that. Go back and watch the BBC trailer they put out for the Journey's End. This is right after Stolen Earth. This is right after that epic cliffhanger. Watch that trailer of just Davros doing his monologue and crazy stuff happening. And you'll be like, that's what we're used to. But what we're getting is, it's a pyramid. I guess I'm blind. Like, I don't...
There's an invasion coming. Oh, we already knew that.
Oh, well, I guess I better do something about it. No, Doctor! Tell Bill you're blind! No, keep my secret. Like, I don't need that. I need... Okay, so, meh, that promo. Whatever.
Well, and it's interesting that you brought up Series 7 and, and your friends saying that they're like... each one was like a mini-movie. I felt like that series had some of the best promotion.
Yes.
For Doctor Who. I loved the posters that they made. They made really cool posters for every episode.
Yes, but we really loved the posters because it was easy to put our heads on other people's bodies.
Yes. Yeah, and we didn't have to put a lot of text on there. It was already on there.
Guys, the BBC made it easy for us once upon a time.
My point is, those posters are really cool. I mean, I'd like to put them like as my background, for my for my computer for the week. I mean, it was really cool. It was fun to look at, and it was like to ramp it up. They don't have cool posters this season. I mean, they barely have cool screenshots, if there's anything, or promotional photos. And and the trailers are also reflecting that they're not really promoting the episodes. I mean, they're like, yeah, watch the show, it's great, but they're just not really like, I don't know. I totally agree with everything you said.
So, promotion-wise aside, I think the season's been great, and I'm excited. So.
Oh, me too. Yeah, Me too. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us yet again.
To all 7 of you, we appreciate you listening every week.
Yes.
Mom, thank you. Taylor's mom, thank you. Taylor's wife, thank you.
She doesn't listen.
Taylor's cat, thanks. Why your cat has an iTunes subscription, I'll never know. But
I don't know, but I thank him.
No, seriously, to all you guys, thanks for joining us again, and we will see you guys here next week
for the thrilling conclusion.
The Veritas conundrum. No, wait.
It's Extremis. This has been another Voices from the Vortex review, Series 10, starring Matthew Whitecamp as Matt the Time Lord, Taylor Davidson as Taylor the Time Lord, and Danielle Davidson as the sexy voice of the TARDIS. All views expressed are the opinions of the 2 dudes from Gallifrey, and as such should be taken extremely seriously. Follow Voices from the Vortex on all social media, including Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Subscribe to us on iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the podcast, please email us at voicesfromthevortex@gmail.com. Doctor Who and all related materials are copyright BBC, and no infringement of copyright is intended. It's heavily implied, but never intended. All material is fanfiction of a satirical nature. Please, Moffat, don't sue. See you next time in the Vortex!
Temporal flight engaged. Returning to the Vortex. End of transmission.
To the Vortex!